April 17, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. There was no economic data to really move the market, but it looked like in the pre-market was a strong rally, pullback in the second leg, and it kind of tapered out at the top. This is eventually going to be the high of the day. Then there was a very gradual, organized sell-off for about the next about 3-4 hours, and then it caused a bounce, two legs up, and then another sell off. So I took a total of 3 trades today and I was profitable on all 3. After the third trade, I figured I didn't want to risk anymore. So I didn't take any additional trades after that because I, didn't want to press my luck. But I did watch the markets and I think there are a few other possible setups that were probably worth taking. There were a lot of these little swing legs and nothing particularly tricky today. The price action was actually, I'm not going to say obvious or apparent, but it was a lot cleaner than what we've seen in the past. So actually, I didn't take any trades yesterday. And actually, what happened was I didn't make a video because my system crashed on me. And I spent a good deal of time trying to recover and do something. So it ended up being something funky on my system. So everything should be recovered now. Unfortunate, I did go back and look at the chart in the evening, and it was a really choppy day. So it's probably a day that I don't feel too bad about missing out on because it was noisy what we saw yesterday. So I'm going to go into the trades right now. So pre-market, due to yesterday's choppy price action, I figured there might be a continuation of this kind of a large range. So I was expecting probably a range day. It kind of went up. It almost looked like this could have been the top of the range, but it tried a second time and it plateaued here. So I was expecting prices to either probably come back because it made 2 legs up with 2 pullbacks. So it's one big orange leg up, one leg down, pullback, second leg down. This is all in the pre-market. And a second attempt up, and it did hit the highs after the break of this orange channel. So the highs look like they've been met. And my interpretation is now there's probably going to be a little bit of a correction, maybe 2 legs down, maybe another big orange move back up, but I wasn't sure. So I was anticipating a range day today. Prices moved. There is a second entry here, technically. It's like a new high. First entry long, pull back. Second entry long, but I'm not too keen on it. It's not a good signal bar. It's kind of far from the setup. It just doesn't look that clean. Definitely wait for something better. Prices then continue moving. So then I do see this. So it's a break of this yellow up channel. Excuse me. This orange channel, as I said, has already achieved its new high with this attempt up. Now, this one might want to see its own attempt at a high. And I figure after this breakdown, it made one attempt up, pull back, second attempt up. Now, technically, you could say this is new swing high, first entry long, second entry long, but I saw it as more of a visual one leg up and then pull back, second leg up. And I saw this as a new low here, first entry short, pull back, second entry short, but this isn't a very good signal bar to go short on. Came to this, and I actually saw this as a measured move, one leg up, second leg up, and I thought it was a visual second entry short. So it's first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Now this is a decent signal bar, and it's this break of this yellow channel made one attempt up, second attempt up, and now looks like it's going to fail. I didn't have this as a trading range yet, and I thought this could have been, pushing down, and the EMA is flattening out, so I wasn't too worried about it. I like that it ticked one tick above and then reversed. The only thing that could have made this an even better trade is if this closed below this guy engulfed it completely, or this one wasn't such a strong bullish bar. Then prices moved down, so I thought this might have been a possible trade. I didn't take it though because I was second guessing my read, and I haven't seen these setups enough to feel confident taking a short here. Prices continue moving. I thought it was a range, but I actually had the range a little bit higher at one time. I actually had it here, and I thought this is a failed breakout, push in, and didn't quite meet it. Then it kind of created this second attempt down. So then I actually dragged it down to about here. And then I thought, okay, actually it fits a little bit better here. So maybe it's still contained within this range. Prices move up. I find the top of the range because I wasn't sure if it's actually down here where my cursor is, and this is a failed breakout, but it created a second failed breakout. So then I decided that this is probably top of the range. Could potentially be a triple test, one touch, two touch. I mean, depending if you dragged it a little bit lower, potentially a third touch, but I didn't like that this signal bar looked kind of neutral, drops around, and it pushes out. Now I see that, okay, potential triple test, but it wasn't clean enough for real trade. I see a failed breakout here, pushes back down. I'm expecting it to reach the other side. Creates first attempt, second entry long. This isn't a good signal bar. Nothing here told me to go long. This is a break of this yellow down channel. It's a break and it's pushing and touching a new low. So I'm keeping in mind there's a potential fail breakout here, which I wrote here, and potentially a second entry long. So it does create its first entry long, second entry long. I saw this as a higher low and a possible trade because it confirms the second entry long is to break this yellow down channel, which reached and achieved its new low. Coming for a fail breakout, this is a very strong signal bar. It engulfed the previous bar, nice and strong. This breakouts of ranges usually fail in the first attempt. So there's a first breakout here, the second breakout here. So I thought this is a possible trade. At least there's also enough room to push back before you run into any kind of resistance, which at this point could be the EMA, but I don't really think the EMA is at play just yet. It looks like if you did enter, it's kind of a large signal bar though, so the large signal bar, so it would be kind of a larger risk because I'd have to keep my stop probably one tick below this guy, but it looked like it would have worked. Price then continue moving. I'm gonna actually change the color of this so it doesn't get confusing. Okay, prices move down. Actually, I didn't want it shaded in green, so let me just change this. So I'm thinking there is a red trend line down, which is right here. Let me back up one tick. I saw, right, see, so right here, I drew this and I saw some kind of resistance here. So I saw a new high, first entry long pullback. It's kind of respecting some kind of bottom here. Second entry long. Second entry long, EMA is starting to act as resistance. And this is a down channel, or at least a down trend line. I didn't know the channel was going to be here just yet, but I did have a trend line drawn. I saw this as a pretty strong signal bar going down. And actually, this is where I took my first trade because it's a rejection off the red down trend line. EMA is holding prices down. There's no close above this EMA, at least for a little while. And there's enough room to the lows, so I thought this is worth a trade. I enter, so it actually opens here. It flashes up because this looked like it was going to be a failed breakout pullback of this blue range. So I actually waited, opened, it flashed up, and I put my entry one, actually at the same lows as here, not one tick below, just to save a little bit. I was able to get in, get out here, and I actually ran this one with a runner. And so when this candle closed, I moved my runner one tick below here. When this candle, this green one closed, I moved my runner one tick above this one. So as you can see, I got most of my position off here, followed it down, and then it was able to scalp out a little bit more right here. If I originally kept it where the original stop was, which is the original entry here plus one tick or minus one tick, I would have survived and probably been able to squeeze out a little bit more and wait till this very first visible swing high comes and pushes back down, then maybe move my exit right here, which would have been pretty much where my core position was taken off. And looks like, you would have just survived it and probably been able to ride this down, but I wasn't too keen on trying to just get that much out. I just wanted to move it one tick below and hope that it would be like a very strong bullish trend down. So then prices move down, confirmation, confirmation, a third confirmation here. I wasn't sure where the lower channel was, but I thought it might have been here because it at least touched twice nicely. It is a new low here. It's the first entry short pullback. This creates a potential second entry short. It made this similar double bottom, but also made a similar double top. So actually, I got my trade ready. I like it's another touch rejection of the red down channel. Closed below the EMA, which is showing at least some kind of strength as acting as a resistance. And it didn't break outside of this yellow down channel yet, so I wasn't going to jump on it yet. I need to see what the next candle does. This next candle actually goes up, breaks below, and it looked like it was going to close low. So I entered one tick below this original signal bar. Actually, this signal bar got filled one tick below and actually closed right where I got filled. So it opened here, did a bunch of stuff, came down. I entered, and it closed right to low. I had to sit through this, and then I was able to get a quick scalp, and then I moved my runner one tick below the entry. So this blue triangle is where my runner got stopped out, and this other blue candle was where I took the core of my profit off. Goes down, it confirms this red down channel. So I'm really liking that this down channel, this red one's holding prices and containing it pretty well. First entry long, there's a first entry short. So now I notice that this didn't reach the high here, because as you can see, it went from high to low to high, 2 attempts, and then finally back down to the low, back up. Now it looks like it's having trouble. It's hitting some kind of support here. I'm thinking it's in a range here. It's a new low here. First entry short, pullback, potential second entry short. I like that this is again respecting the EMA. It's also respecting potentially the top of the range. It's coming from the top of the range. There might have been a potential trade here. As you're coming from the top of the range, there's enough room to scalp out to the bottom, but it is also kind of in the middle of the range. So it's a possible trade if you're a little bit more aggressive. It's a decent signal bar. I hesitated and I just kind of waited for this one to close. Once this one closed, I felt the trade was too late. So you had to be a little bit more aggressive to trust the strength of this red resistance coming down. It looked like it would have worked. I saw there's a fail breakout, comes back up, another fail breakout here. Now broke out of this red down channel, and I'm expecting prices to come back and at least test the bottom of this red down channel, which has been kind of in play for the good part of the day. Let's say first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short, but this is very congested. I just avoided it completely. This is actually where I take my third and last trade. So the way I saw it is this down channel wants to test this low. It has a first break. It made one attempt up, pullback. This could be the second attempt up. Second attempt up because it wants to test the highs of this shortened trend channel. So I'm thinking, okay, I wasn't thinking it failed second entry long yet. I'm just dialed in. I'm just watching very carefully. It kind of comes up first entry long, second entry long, and now closed low. So it also closed starting to move back within this trading range. So I saw as a fail breakout here, fail breakouts tend to fail. Made one attempt up, made a second attempt up to try to test the highs of this. It looked like it failed and it closed inside this trading range. So I was reading this in real time and I might have been, over analyzing it, but I was thinking there is enough push and move back that it probably is going to start testing the lows of this red channel. And at least if I take it, it's kind of at the highs of this trading range. There's enough room to scalp out. So I entered one tick below and I was able to quickly scalp out. And then it kind of pushes down. I didn't try to take a runner. I just kind of took the entire position off because it was a little ambiguous. And to be honest, I wasn't sure how much of a runner I'd get pushing down because it's already looking like it's bottoming here. It's kind of hit maybe the lows of the day and it could reverse back up. I wasn't too sure. Prices then follow this yellow down channel. First entry short, second entry short. I saw the second entry short. The signal bar is very strong, but it's running into two things that I don't like. One is this possible bottom of this trading range. The thing I do like, it is kind of the EMA is starting to hold, but it didn't hold very well here. Besides the bottom of the trading range, I don't like this candle. The body's a little far from the EMA for my taste, but it looked like if you took it, it would have worked, but you'd be fighting through this potential support. Prices move up, then flashes up and comes back down. Saw a new high, first entry long. Technically, this is a second entry long by the count. and maybe a possible trade because it is a break of this yellow down channel, break and tested the lows, made a second attempt to test the lows, and then it reversed back up. So depending on how you read it, you can see break of the yellow channel, didn't close outside though. First attempt up and then down, and then second attempt up. This is also the second attempt down to test the low after this one. So it's a little subtle for sure, but definitely the trade maybe is there. You could be expecting a correction. And also, I don't have this green down channel drawn yet, so I couldn't use this as the key entry point, but it is bouncing off the pre-market low. Now, this pre-market low is a little subjective because if you actually drew it to the absolute low, then you didn't hit that point. But I actually initially had it drawn here because pre-market low looked like I had touched once, twice, maybe a third time here. So it looked a little more solid here. And depending on how much you trusted your chart read, you could have justified it as it's bouncing out the pre-market low. It might be going back for a reversal. There's enough room to the EMA, but I wasn't that confident in the way I drew my chart, so I had to leave this one alone. Prices move up, breaks out of the orange channel, makes a new high, another push up. I find this green up channel, but this green up channel, there is no setup that I could find. It gets really choppy here because technically you have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. Second entry long is on the other side of the EMA on a clearly bearish move down, so you'd be counter trend trading. Definitely, I wouldn't be thinking, well, I'm just going to do a short then, anticipating a failed second entry long. You do have technically a first entry long, second entry long failure and a new low first entry short, second entry short. By the time this candle closes, it did kind of already reach a new low. So I'm not really looking to push this all the way back down to here. Drops around, and on top of that, this is a rather large candle. This is a 5.25 point candle. So it's definitely very risky. Falls in this purple pink down channel. I see a visual first entry. So it's like prices are moving down, has a failed breakout, it made one attempt up, pullback, second attempt up. I think this might have been mislabeled. It's a possible, I said it's a visual second entry short. It's actually first entry short. No, I think this is labeled incorrectly. It might be more of a visual failed. Let me correct that. Visual failed second entry long. So it looks like it's two attempts up. After this break, one attempt up, pullback, second attempt up. Technically, you have a new low, first entry short, second entry short, third entry short, but this one is already breaking higher than this original one. And this is a new high, first entry long, second entry long. So technically, you do have a second entry long failure, but I saw it as one leg up, pullback, second leg up, two legs up, visual second entry long failure. I like that this engulfed the entire signal bar, but the signal bar was very bullish. But after this closed down and a strong close at the bottom, you could consider it, I would think, except the only problem is it is a rather big bar, this 3.5 points. And if you have, after you waited for this bar to close, this is a 4.75 point risk. You'd have to put your exit up here, and there is enough room to scalp out before it got to the bottom, but I just didn't feel too keen on potentially getting a losing trade after my 3 winning trades. So definitely left it alone. Also, this was a very strong bullish bar. If it had been not so big, or at least closed bearish, then I may have considered it. Prices then continue moving down. Kind of chop. Okay, this is at the point where I find this possible larger green down channel. But up until this point, it didn't really help for any trades. So I connected well, here, and it kind of touched here and here. But it would have helped me here, but I wouldn't have found it here for sure. Oops. Let's see. Zoom in here. Technically, you have a U high. First entry long pullback. You technically have a second entry long here. I didn't mark it though, but I did put an arrow to remind myself, or at least note it is a potential bounce off of this. This signal bar, it did take one tick below and then push up, but it didn't exceed this guy. So you'd have to wait for this one to close. When this one closed, you do have enough room to get a quick scalp out, but It's a break of this yellow down channel, made one attempt down, second attempt down. It's rather far away. So yes, you could say it's going to push back up, but unlike this setup, which broke out and made two quick attempts down and then reversed, because this one's very similar to this one in that it moved one tick below and pushed back up, discounting the fact that you don't have this support yet for this trade. You could say maybe there's a push back up, but it feels like it's one leg down. It's kind of far now, and plus it's counter trend on a very clear bearish day. So I didn't mark it, but I didn't think there's quite a good clean setup there. Moves up on this orange channel, makes one attempt up, technically a second attempt up. It's also potentially a new low. First entry short, you could have a second entry short, but the second entry short on the wrong side of the EMA. It is a break of this orange channel, so it could be one attempt up, pull back, second attempt up. You don't know that this is going to fail. It could this next candle could push up even higher to test this high. And that's kind of what it did. It would have like trapped you if you went short, would have dropped down, picked you up, and then probably pushed up, potentially stopping you out, depending on where you kept your stop. If you kept it one tick above this guy, this triple test, then this one candle would have ticked one tick up and taken you out. Prices then move down. Again, it's kind of hugging and riding along this support, pushes up. It's a consolidation area. Nothing I particularly like right here. And it pushes back down, and now it's kind of trading within this big green range. So I'm thinking there's this purple down channel potentially in play. No good clean entry that I could find. The new low, first entry short, makes a double bottom, so you technically restart the count, and you just have first entries right here. It hits this, confirms this purple channel, but there's these wicks that flag and push up above. So I'm not 100% sure that, if you decide to take a short anytime the prices came back to this purple, it could stop you out by flashing up. So I'm not too keen on that type of setup. Pushes down and it confirms this green down channel, lower part of the channel again. Has a fail breakout, pushes up. Technically, if a new low, it's a first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short, but this isn't a very convincing candle. There's too many dojis in too short a times. A doji here, and doji here. It just doesn't look clean. It's like just tells me to stay away. Technically, I have a new high, first entry long, second entry long, but this is again a doji candle below the EMA now. So it looks like there's some indecision. Am I going to be above or am I going to be below? Am I going to push up? Technically, it tested the highs of this orange, this yellow one, but it's very bearish coming down. So it's just a little confusing. Prices then continue up, I think, on this orange up channel. Nothing I particularly like. The price action isn't clean enough for my experience level. Here I do see a new high, first entry long, pullback. This is the first time in a while it comes back, touches the EMA. I think there's a possible trade here because it is a red candle, but it is bullish. And this isn't quite a triple test yet, but I saw this as a potential support here. I thought there was a potential trade here because there's enough room to get back up, and it's a first break of this orange channel. So it's like a fail breakout. Breakouts tend to fail and might be moving back in. The risk was rather, lower than most of the setups previously because it's only a 2-point candle. So your risk is about 10 ticks. So one tick below and you'd enter maybe one tick above. So it might have been worth a trade here. Prices move up, falls into this orange channel again, another break here. So it looks like it's losing momentum. It's also failing to reach the other side now. I'm thinking part of this support, there could be a resistance up here. Pushes up, so it's a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. Now the second entry long, I'm not that uh, hot on this type of second entry long because the second entry long, this could be considered just one top because it's so close. So it could have just been a first entry long. Nevertheless, per the count, it is a first entry long, second entry long. The second entry long looks like it's about to fail. It does fail, but I didn't think there's a good trade. It's a break of this yellow down channel, pushes up. And so here you could be expecting maybe a push down to test the lows. So this is more of a note to myself like, okay, there's something that was here, but I'm not too keen on it. But when it comes back down to here, I'm thinking, okay, this could be a break. It tested a new low. I want to see what the next candle does. It pushes up, And what I do like is, again, it does this 1 to 2 tick push down and reverses strongly. Even though it made a double top, I do see a 1 test, 2 test, 3 test, visual, first entry long, potential second entry long. So I thought this is actually a decent trade to take. It looks like you would have entered and then probably got the fill because it's touching the top back to the bottom. So this is actually a decent trade. I think that would have been worthwhile taking. There's a potential fail breakout here. First breakout on the top side, so it could pull back in. It does pull back. Now it's like making a second attempt to push back out. It's a break of this green channel, so I'm thinking it might want to test the highs. Depends on how strong the top resistance of this range is. Pushes up and actually pushes through. So it looks like the range has failed, or the range is no longer in play now. The new low, it's a first entry short pullback. Technically, you have a second entry short here. Maybe it's a possible trade. It does feel a little more aggressive. The other thing that was going for it would created a measured move. So after this break of this orange channel, it made one attempt, broke out, made one attempt, made one big push up. So you can see this is one leg down, pull back, second leg down, maybe another one push up, pull back, two push up. It made a measured leg. By the time you get a confirmation that the next candle isn't going to go higher, it's already starting to move. Previously, this pre-market low acted as support, and now it potentially could be acting as resistance. Because this is such a big push down, I'm not confident that it's going to push back into this pre-market range. But this pre-market range itself is rather weak because it only has maybe 2 touches up here and really only 2 touches down here. You could argue a third touch, but you're coming in from the downside, from the bottom, as opposed to from breaking through on the top side, looking at it as support. So although there is maybe a possible trade, you'd have to trust as the strength of the second entry short because of the measured move that I didn't feel it was good enough for me to take a trade, but there is a possible trade and there's enough room through the EMA. It looked like you would have to sit through this, probably get the scalp, and then prices continue chopping sideways. Starts moving down, breaks below the EMA. This is a very rough green down channel, but it doesn't fit very nicely. There are second entries, but I didn't like the way they set up, and sometimes they didn't have very good signal bars, so it just tells me to sit this part out. Then it breaks down and pushes up, and what's really interesting is there was no news item that I could find, but this push up from 5072 to 5092 was a 20-point move in about 5 minutes. It was a really strong move, and you can tell there's no red candles. So it's telling you, like, okay, it's pushing hard. Definitely don't be thinking of going short. I don't know if you necessarily want to jump in on the long side, but it kind of hits the top, pulls back briefly, then continues back up. Now, I was looking around all day. I thought maybe there's a measured move possibility here, but I didn't have full confidence in it because I actually drew the measured move up to here. Then I started the second leg here at the pullback. You could have also dragged this up to here, which would have meant the measured move would have been even higher. So this is also after the fact thought that once, because I don't know which one it is at this point, and I have the benefit of hindsight after the price action has moved. It looks like it's starting to falter. So if you had it originally drawn where I put it, then you'd be thinking it made a measure move. There's probably enough pressure because the exhaustion of the buyers might have been kicking in, and there could be a quick correction here. And it looked like it would have worked. However, if you drew it the other way with this measured move up to here, to touch here before you put the pullback, and you'd actually drag this guy up to here, then the measure move really wasn't made, and you're just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So it's kind of subtle, and it would also be dependent on how you viewed the measure move originally. Prices then move down. It does create this lower high. I thought this lower high is actually a possible trade because it confirms the second entry short. It broke below the EMA and made one attempt up, closed above, but immediately rejected back down. And I did have this trend line drawn as a potential resistance, so you could use that as another key entry point. I like the strength of this signal bar close being so strong. There is maybe a little concern that you could see a potential resistance here, but this was so strong. but it is a little bit larger of a candle that I thought this is a possible trade. It looked like it would have worked and pressed down. And it kind of hits this consolidation area. I drew this from these three touches, or these two touches, and this is the bottom. So I was debating at one time whether to include it, but it looked like it didn't look as clean. Let's just say we did do it like this way before. I don't like this sideways movement, so I rather treated it as a little bit of a tighter channel breakout, consolidation, hits this resistance, and I'm thinking maybe it's going to push back down further when you see this. It does push down, kind of chops around. You do have a new low, first entry short, second entry short, but there's kind of no other key entry points. This green down channel doesn't exist yet. Then these prices look like they're respecting this green down channel, starts to move up, breaks over this on this orange channel. Just not very apparent what's going on right now because it looked like it had two big strong legs up, one leg down, consolidation, maybe a second leg down. That's where I drew this big leg here, push up. I'm expecting prices to maybe go back and test the lows of the day. But before that happens, because this is going to be a rather big move, there could be pullbacks, two attempts to push back up before it resumes. And it was just not very clean right now because it is a new low, first entry short, second entry short. This is a signal bar that's inside this one, so it doesn't look very clean. You have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. This isn't a very good signal bar to go long on. Below the EMA, it's also inside this one. It just looks choppy, so I just kind of discounted this whole area, said, okay, don't try to take a trade here. Let the market figure itself out. It hits this potential support. I'm watching to see if there's going to be a triple test and push back up because I was thinking maybe I'm going to be in a range here. It kind of breaks down below, so it kind of negates the triple test now. I'm not sure what I'm looking at, but I did think at one time maybe there is a trading range here. Breaks out, potential fail breakout, comes back in. But you have to keep in mind that, okay, this price action is unfolding, but you're entering the last 10 minutes of the day. Definitely, even if there's a nice clean setup, it's very risky to take it in the last 10 minutes of the day because this is usually when longer term swing traders are taking their profits or closing out their positions. So I don't want to be caught in that mess. Plus, I already had three winning trades that I don't want to risk giving back profits. So it kind of moves into the close. So there were quite a few setups, I would say, early on, right over here. There's a little bit less setups here, and then I found maybe some more setups about midday, right around lunchtime, Pacific Eastern Standard, and then maybe two other potential trades here, and then not so many toward the end. So overall, it was a little cleaner price action. There were a few trickier parts toward the end where it looked like it might have faked you out, but overall, it wasn't too bad. So hopefully that was helpful.